ยังคงอยู่ที่อุตสาหกรรมการท่องเที่ยวค่ะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยจะไปเจาะลึกกันในหัวข้อถัดไปเรื่องการท่องเที่ยวอย่างยั่งยืนกันบ้างซึ่งเราจะคุยกันในหัวข้อ Thailand's Journey Towards a Sustainable Tourism Destination นะคะ Up next is our greatest honor to have our prominent speaker from EarthCheck. He is going to talk about Thailand's journey towards a sustainable tourism destination. A big round of applause to welcome Mr. Stewart Moore, CEO and founder of EarthCheck.
Thanks very much. It's my absolute pleasure to be here for you this afternoon and the band. They have a name for this time of afternoon. It's called the graveyard shift. And the graveyard shift is you've had a very big day and you're tired. So I'm going to break the sequence and we're going to do an exercise together. We're going to do some Tai Chi. So I want you all to be standing, please. Stand up for me. Let's stand up together. Okay, so many years ago, I've got 5 sons, said to me, Dad, you need to sort of get a life. You need to sort of do some exercise. So I took up Tai Chi. So today we're going to do one Tai Chi exercise. Okay. 3 very simple things. So the first thing we do is just put your shoulders back and just loosen up those tired shoulders. Shake them round. Okay. The next thing is about stance. Relax your stance. Put your legs out. Shake that body just a little bit. Feeling a little bit better? Okay. And now we're going to do a breathing exercise. Okay. We couldn't have done this during COVID. Okay. The breathing exercise, we're going to do 3 of these, and it's simply, we're going to come down to here, and on 3, we're going to lift it up and breathe in. Breathe in for your chest, breathe in and out, and reach for the sky like Buzz Lightyear. Okay, now we're going to do 2 more, and down, 1, and lift and breathe, reach for the sky, and 1 more. Arms down, and breathe in, and up, and down again. How's that feel? Bit of energy? Okay, we'll start. So it's my absolute pleasure to talk about sustainable tourism this afternoon. And one of the things I did want to do is to recognise my 2 previous speakers. So particularly, and I think it's important because sustainability is about learning. It's about sharing ideas. What a fantastic presentation we had from Pisha. So let me tell you what I learned from that presentation before. I love the concept of shared values. I love the concept of central tum. So if I got central tum correct, central tum is about doing. This is a key component of everything in sustainability. What I did love about that project was about learning. So the whole concept of the projects we heard about through Central Tum was sharing knowledge and learning in a community. So powerful. And some of the things I'll talk about this afternoon is about shared values. You can't do sustainability from top down. Sustainability must come from the community and from business. And I guess the other thing I learned from that whole exercise, and it's a key theme for my company, is what's good for business can be good for the planet. What's good for the planet can be good for business. The whole learning there is about a community coming together sustainably. Sustainable economics, sustainable finance, and sustainable in terms of the biodiversity. It was such a fantastic case study. And I think our last speaker, he did talk about transformational experiences. So if we're going to do sustainable tourism effectively in Thailand, we need to be transformational and we need to make it tailored. I'm going to very briefly look at some of the trends. Some of the trends Martin did pick up for me. He talked about the fact of learning retreats. I think there's a lot we can do about bringing people together, not just health and well-being, but learning. He also talked about discovery. And I think he also talked about time together, which I'll pick up. One of the other things that we'll do, we're going to talk about regenerative or restorative tourism. So what's regenerative? Regenerative is giving back. We heard about that in the case study this morning, giving back to community. It's called net benefit, giving back to community and economy. What is holistic tourism? It's everyone having a role to play. So it's a shared thing that we come together. Really important components. We'll talk a little bit about the carbon economy. Whether we like it or not, we're now seeing it in a carbon economy, and carbon has a price mechanism. So we need to measure that in the context of what we're doing. It's called a footprint. The other thing we need to do is think out of the box. There are finances available now for communities in good design. It's called green power, green finance, and green funds that I think is a good opportunity for us to look at. It is about data management. And the key thing I learned in the first case study this afternoon was about good performance operated data. You can't do sustainable tourism without having operational data to match and marry your performance, to give you a baseline. How can you celebrate your achievements if you don't have a basis upon which to measure that? Data is mission critical. And lastly, and I think it's important as a message, sustainable tourism and sustainability is not a product. It is not a product, it's a value and an outcome. Ecotourism is a product, nature-based tourism is a sector, sustainability sits within our core business, it's a part of our vision. Everything we do is about sustainable outcomes, and we'll talk about that as we progress this afternoon. And the last thing is we need cathedral thinking. Has anyone heard of cathedral thinking before? Cathedral thinking is having an ambition that the future we're creating is for the next generations, for the next 200 years. It's not about the people in this room. The great cathedrals of Europe were built over a 200-year period. Sustainability and the sorts of things that we can achieve in Thailand for sustainable tourism is building a platform for our future generations. Okay, we don't have time to open up each of the 11 sectors, but we've got each of these are very powerful in their own right, and each of them have supply and demand mechanisms. I wanted to pick just on one of them, and I'm going to pick on the convention centre because it's such an important part of your economy. We're in one of the great convention centres of the Asia-Pacific region. It's a really important part of it. But to do it well, everyone needs to play a part in sustainability. So the simple example, you need to look at the ecosystem. So if we looked at the ecosystem for events and event management, it looks like this. Everyone in that chart, whether you're a buyer or supplier, needs to understand their role in the context of sustainable outcomes. It's not just about the centre, it's where we're staying in accommodation, it's our attractions, it's our ability to service, to buy retail goods. Everyone plays a part in terms of those next steps. And we could do that for each of the sectors here today, whether that be agriculture or film or sport. In terms of global trends, I guess the key thing is we need to buckle up for the ride because post-COVID, we're in transition. Extremely exciting time, but it's transformative and it's moving fast. And why is that an implication for Thailand? Well, it's an implication because basically the way we travel, live, work and play has changed. It's changed ultimately because of accelerating technologies. We turbocharged, when we got out of COVID, digitisation alone changed the whole nature about how we're connecting with each other at home. It just moved things so dramatically, as did AI. Accelerating technologies, hypermobility. Europe is back to its travel patterns that we had in 2017 and 19. You've got digital AI now as a part of what we're doing. It's not that it's coming, it's here. Okay, so the digital economy we really need to embrace, particularly for the basis of our bookings and the share economy. What are the implications for Thailand? Well, we heard a little bit about Martin. A lot of your visitors, including the Thai community, when we got out of COVID, the first thing we wanted to do was just reconnect. Reconnect with ourselves, reconnect with our families, and reconnect with our friends. Because remembering, we weren't travelling. So as soon as we came out, we wanted to travel, but there's one defining element. In that travel, it was about travelling to connect with people and place in a sustainable manner. People and place in a sustainable manner. Thailand does this well. I'm coming to Thailand, I want to connect with culture, with people, with real cuisine, and I want to get the sense of the experience. Transformationally, what's the experience? Climate change is now much more aware. You're all much more aware of climate change before COVID. And why is that? Because During COVID, one thing happened. Suddenly we became connected to the rest of the world. If you sneeze in Beijing or you sneeze in Tokyo, you're likely to have an issue at home here too. So for the first time, we are one planet. We are connected. Climate change is something everyone needs to be responsible for. There are changes to how we work and play, and I love what the Thai people are doing with the slow economy. I'm a really bad example of this, because I'm here for 3 days and I'm going straight back home. It should have been just calm it down, Stewart. Stay the week, spend some time, connect with the people, spend some money and lower your carbon footprint. So I think slow tourism, we can do a lot more to that in terms of our visitor markets. Green finance opportunities I'm going to talk about, but there is a lot happening in terms of the funds available from banks for infrastructure, for small business, and funds available for biodiversity projects. It's really quite dramatic in terms of how fast that's moved. But we've got to be also mindful of greenwashing. What's greenwashing? It's simply misleading. So if we're going to have an ownership of sustainability, and Thailand can do this for sustainable tourism, we need to be not misleading and we need to own the concept and deliver it. It's called quality assurance. The consumer trends we don't need to spend much time on. 3 key issues, the first of which people are more mindful now that when they travel they carry a footprint. Okay? The second thing is the jury was always out. Will I spend more money on sustainable based products? For the first time the survey showing I'm open to spend more money, but you need to prove to me you're doing the right thing and I can become part of that. And I think that's fair. The third really key sustainable trend is people are willing to give back to the communities they visit. That is a substantial change. So I'm open to come here as a visitor and give back. So in short, sustainability is not about doing less harm, it's about doing more good. And that was some of the wonderful thing I heard about the brand. What was the brand we heard about this morning? I think the brand was called Good Goods. So let's have a look what a good good looks like in the context of tourism. What it looks like is the concept of restorative and regenerative tourism, giving back to the community. Restorative means that I'm actually, in a biodiversity sense, put reforestation back. I'm looking after the lands of which we manage as well as the water. So tourism traditionally was taking away. The whole concept of regenerative tourism is giving back. I think it's a really powerful option to run with. So let's have a look at Thailand, just like going to your doctor. So if I'm going to my GP, what would I expect to be in place if we're going to fully embrace sustainable tourism? Well, I think the first thing we'd have a look at is give back. So I'm looking for exactly what we talked about before, education, capacity building, the ability to work with communities. So important, bottom up. You can't do it by yourself. Good vision is only so substantial by a top down. It should be transformative. One of your key sectors is design. The best outcomes in sustainability come from the design of buildings and infrastructure to deliver effective and efficient outcomes. Design good products and also good menus. Design is so important. It's one of your key creative sectors that we need to work with. It's about data and insight, and we saw in both presentations, it's important to have a baseline to understand your performance, and lastly, it's about pathways. So what would it look like? So let's think about this. What does good look like? Well, one way of looking about it is, I'm arriving in Thailand, I'm a business visitor, I want to stay for good. I stay with a sustainable operator. It could be an Airbnb, it doesn't have to be a 5-star hotel. I expect that operator will be working with me so that I understand how I can also better use water, waste and energy. I would expect at least there's some implications about what they're going to do together to, whether it be for machinery or efficiency type standards, and that I give back a bit. I'm happy to be part of that giving back. So part of it, I stay for good. There's good we heard about with products. There's visit for good. I eat for good in terms of my menus. I buy for good in terms of my retail. We can do this. Every part of that supply chain comes a part of the travel for good philosophy. We just need to be making sure people work together. And at the end of the day, that simply means everybody has a role to play. From the moment I arrive in my plane, to the airport, to my transport, to my accommodation, to the convention centre, when I go out tonight, everyone has a part to play and they need to be working together. That means that bottom up and top down, we have to start talking. And there'll be a time when we do need to do some further measurement on the carbon economy. We won't do that this afternoon, but I think it's fair enough to then say, if we're not measuring that, how can we understand how we're improving that over time, and how do we celebrate that? And I guess the last thing was, I skipped over it, was you do need good data, but let's be honest, that's a terrible slide. What that slide doesn't do is break it down into something we can feel a little bit excited about. But that's why we have a creative economy we're working with. You're the communicators, you've got good design, you've got film and media. We just need your help to better help us to explain to people what we're achieving. Because one of the things we do in sustainability, we don't do well, we don't communicate well. It's just not part of what we've been grown up to be achieving and doing. So in short, a clear vision owned by government and people, collective responsibility across the economy, everyone has a role to play. We need a holistic approach, but we also need to be regenerative. The concept of giving back to community and giving back to the economy, supply chains. Ideally, it should be about, if we're really serious, a sense of assurance. Certification would be nice, but simply an ability to say, not only are we doing well, but we can actually reflect and promise you that we are, can be proven. It's validated. And I guess one of the things about your creative industries, the 11 that are here today, is we use those achievements through media, film, festivals and events. That's our narrative. The narrative is not just about media, it's the whole context about what a sustainable economy looks like and feels like to live in and feels like to visit, sustainable tourism. And lastly, it should be about soft power being an innovator, but I still come back to my word, cathedral thinking. We are building a platform now for the next 200 years. It's not for the people in this room, it's for all of your future generations. That's the legacy that we hope to be delivering. So how do we make this, how do we embrace some of the opportunities through the carbon economy? Well, we talked about the financial sector. One of the key things that you may not have heard of is ESG reporting. Just a show of hands. Does anyone understand what ESG reporting is? ESG reporting has slowly been developing over the last 15 years in financial markets. So in tourism, if tourism's here, we sit on an asset base. This is an asset, a big piece of infrastructure. Buildings, infrastructure, roads, our attractions are all built with finance. The financial sector now needs to do ESG reporting. It is a liability for board directors. As a liability, your corporate sector now needs to work with social license. That's you. They need to work with the community, work with our festivals, work with our culture, work with the whole context about where we're giving back. Enormous opportunity. It is about zero waste. Thailand has done fantastic things in the reduction of plastic. We've got a long way to go yet to get it out of the system, but we've started that process. It's a really good stepping stone because plastic really shouldn't be in there if we don't need it. And I guess the key thing is we need to promote Thai culture and traditions that emphasise respect for nature and sustainability, and we can do that. The green financial market is here with us. If we have ESG reporting, we now have a corporate world who needs to give back. It's called social licence. There's an enormous opportunity to finance good design, to finance festivals and community outcomes. So traditionally in financial terms, we looked after shareholders. Under ESG, we look after stakeholders. So for the first time ever, the financial market needs to look after their staff, the community, their suppliers, and the people who work in their supply chains. Enormous opportunity for financial options. But we do need to make sure that whatever we do has integrity and it doesn't have greenwashing. So one of the things that has happened is that, and you mightn't be aware of it, the European Union has put forward very serious legislation. There are court cases already underway for major airlines in Europe and the major distribution platforms online. And they are successful court cases which have proven don't use the words green, sustainable or responsible unless you can back it up with evidence. This is coming your way. So I went for a briefing to the EU directors and I was told that if we have people from Europe travelling, if they're part of supply chains, if we service or sell things to Europe, we are caught by this. So whether we like it or not, we need to be really careful about how we present ourselves and what the narrative is. So really, in simple terms, make it accurate and truthful. Make it evidence-based. It needs to be transparent and it needs to be understandable by simple people. They are principles that in fact do make some sense. What can we learn from some of the destinations around the world? I pick on Scandinavia because I've worked there for over 30 years. I do really love the sense of pledge. So I'm going to talk about pledge a bit. So pledge is I'm bringing the visitor along as a part of the solution, not a part of the problem. We pledge together to do the right things. We also have some gamification. I don't know how many gamers are here, but I want to show you a few examples about gamification on open line platforms for sustainable tourism. We can really lift this. It's not supposed to be a boring subject or topic. And I do like the whole concept of health and wellness. So there's one thing that all the destinations that I've travelled to do share, and that's the ability to have a crack at this, grab it and make a difference. Thailand can do this. You can own sustainable tourism, but it must have substance and you must be able to deliver it in terms of data and products. So in Guam, so it's in the Pacific region, the Guam issue is simply have a passport. When I arrive at Guam, I sign on the passport saying, I'm signing on to look after this destination and work with community and to work with your operators. Go local, look local, think local. It's a really powerful platform, but it brings tourism to work with your community. I do like what the Finns are doing. You make a promise to respect and treasure Finnish nature and its inhabitants and culture during your visit. And I like their branding. I do like the Thai branding at the moment. I like slow tourism. What the Scandinavians do is they just calm it down, spend some further time in the economy. They package it very well in terms of experiences. But I do like their sustainability pledges. If we're going to bring people on this journey, we need a very simple narrative that we can sign on to. It's a cross-cultural and a cross-sectoral thing. Everyone has a responsibility in Scandinavia, starting with the local community, for looking after the environment. It's just not up to government. And I do like the whole concept of the experience economy, because there's one thing that the Thai economy can do. You have unbelievable experiences which are cultural, are full of festivals. The culinary presentation out the back geographically is so powerful. We just need to package these things and deliver them. Gamification. So we're working with Travello. So the gamification here is I'm on my online booking system, I'm with my friends, and what Travello is doing is giving me incentive. Do the right thing, come to these community-based assets, and we'll give you incentives, and we'll give you other things to do that other people aren't aware of. Such a powerful way to play with digital media. We really need to rise it up a bit in terms of the opportunities. Spa, I think Thailand can do health and well-being. The other thing that came out of COVID was not only was I needing to reconnect with myself, health and well-being, hygiene and safety. Spa and beauty, Thailand does very well. I think medical tourism is probably something you've done extremely well over the last 20 years. I think we could learn a little bit about spiritual tourism from some of our neighbours. Outdoors means the great walks of Europe. So there are passive walks, and there's then going on a triathlon or going deep sea diving. And I think the Mai Tai thing, particularly the presentation at the back, is such a core part of experience, being connected to what happens in market and understanding culture, which is behind it. So I'm going to finish it there. My last slide is simply what were my arguments today. A clear vision that's owned by people, bottom up and top down. The ability for the economy to work together cross-sectorally, to make sure that we have data, that when we actually present, we have an understanding of what our baseline is, otherwise we can't celebrate. Data's important no matter how small the operator. The case study we saw early this afternoon was little operators in a village understanding the power of financial return as well as biodiversity. So powerful. The carbon economy is an enormous opportunity for you, but you need to step back from where you are and have a look at financial markets, look at the corporate sector, and look at the opportunity for partnerships there, because they under ESG reporting do need to be giving back to the community, not just taking. Sustainability in sustainable tourism is not a product. It is a value and outcome. It sits core to your brand. It sits core to your business plans, and it sits core to your position description. So the best companies I work with are where the CEO has a KPI which puts right in front of her or him the need to deliver on sustainability. Then you've got action. That's the only way that you can really move it forward. And I do believe in cathedral thinking for the future. We are building a platform here for Thailand that you can take forward for the next 200 years. And the last slide is my most simple slide. I started by saying that sustainable tourism and sustainability can be a glue that brings our sectors together. If you bring them together, then we grow together. Thank you.